Hi, today is Sunday. Happy Sunday, by the way. Today is day 28 of this project. The dynamic of this chapter consists in that I'm going to talk and share with you what I've learned in this week from the Bible study. While I do that, I'm going to show you what I've done this week. You pretty much are gonna see me working out, reading a book, and learning some new words. Some stuff did it off camera, such as the Bible study or improving my editing skills in Dimitry. So, hi, if you don't know me, my name is Dimitry, and this is the Change Chapter 4. Okay, in that day we went through Proverbs 21, and the verse that stood out the most to me was verse 3 of the chapter. So verse 3 says, "The Lord is more pleased when we do what is right, and just then when we offer him sacrifices." So what I got from this verse is, for example, we could give a big amount of money in our offerings at church. We could give money to the poor. We could do any good, any type of good. But if we don't do that with love, if we don't do that like we mean it, if behind the scenes we are not living a righteous life for God, God will not be pleased with our worship. Next, Proverbs 22. And the verse that stood out the most to me was verse 4 that says, "True humility and fear of the Lord lead to righteous honor and long life." Clear as water. God is telling us to be humble, to accept that there will always be somebody that knows more than us, that is better than us, and we have to willing to listen to those who are ahead of us. If we do that, God says we will have success in our life. You must learn to follow before you can lead.
What a day today. So today is day 2 of the 4 week. I didn't work out today. I was supposed to, but I left this day to get done with the 3rd chapter. I still working with stop procrastinating. And so tomorrow I'm gonna be done with the video, and also I'm gonna work out tomorrow, and yeah. See ya then.
Next, Proverbs 23, and the verses that stood out the most to me was verses 17 to 18 that says, "Don't invite sinners, but always continue to fear the Lord. You will be rewarded for this. Your hope will not be disappointed." Us, as child of God, sometimes we see people enjoying their life at the fullest in a simple way without worrying about the outcome. God says that don't mind those people because they will face judgment at the end. Instead, he says to us that we have to focus on living a righteous life and we will receive greater blessings. Let me put it this way. Don't worry about your reward from earth. Worry about your heavenly rewards. Those really count. Next is Proverbs 24. And the verse that stood out the most to me was verse 16. Verse 16 says, "The godly may trip 7 times, but they will get up again. But one disaster is enough to overthrow the wicked." Oh my God. See, what I like from this verse is that you can apply it for any type of situation. For example, in basketball, no matter how many shots you miss, you have to keep shooting, learning from the mistake, and you will make the shot. Or no matter how many times you get rejected while applying for a job, God is encouraging us to keep going, to not give up, keep on knocking the doors, and learn from the mistakes. Next is Proverbs 25. And the verses that stood out the most to me was verses 4 to 6. Verses 4 to 6 says, "Remove the impurities from silver, and the sterling will be ready for the silversmith. Remove the wicked from the king's court, and his reign will be made secure by justice. So this is what I got from this message. The silver, it is us trying to live a righteous life for God. The impurities are all those things that is keeping us away from living a righteous life for God. God is telling us to cut off all those things that is keeping us away from success, that is keeping us away from living a righteous life for Him. God says if we do that, we will have success in our life, and God will be able to use us in special occasions. Next, Proverbs 26. And the verse that stood out the most to me, it wasn't even in Proverbs 26. So let me explain. When the guy in the Bible study was reading the verse 11 from the chapter, the verse 11 says, "As a dog returns to his vomit, so a fool repeats his foolishness." This is God telling us to don't go back to our old habits that cause us to sin. He is telling us to stay away. That is why we need to be diligent in keeping God close in our life. Because if we don't, we're just going to keep falling in the same old and bad habit. So stay away. So then he came out with this phrase that he saw on a video that says, "The discipline that you are avoiding is the exact thing that's going to change your life." That's tough, isn't it? So he went to Hebrews 12 and he started reading the chapter. So when he arrived to the verse 11 of Hebrews 12, so verse 11 says, "No discipline is enjoyable while it is happening. It's painful, but afterward there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way." Oh my God. This verse doesn't even need explanation. Let me read it for you again. Let me read it. Hold on. It says, "No discipline is enjoyable while it is happening. It's painful, but afterward there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way." No pain, no gain. If it doesn't hurt, it doesn't work. Hey, I'm out. Okay, this was chapter 4, the project. If y'all want me to keep doing this type of dynamic, just you already know what to do. Comment down below. And thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.